Hello lovelies, welcome to the channel. I'm in the mood for a spot of baking, sweet and savoury. So the first thing I want to do is get my pastry made. I'm actually going to make a sourdough pastry and cut it in half and make a quiche and a pie with it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to weigh our flour out, and we are going to need 280 grams of flour. And I'm going to do this in the food processor. You can do this by hand, by rubbing the butter and the flour together, but it's just a heck of a lot quicker doing it this way. Now I've got the dough blade that I've put in here. I don't have to do it, but I found that it does make a difference. I need 2 tablespoons of sugar. Just going to give that a shuggle, loosen it up. And then a teaspoon of salt. I have got 227 grams of cold butter that I've cubed up. It makes it a lot easier to do if you do cube it. So I'm going to pulse this until it resembles breadcrumbs. Oh, anyway, we don't want a hanger on. You might need to do this a couple of times, that's okay, don't worry if you do. Now that we've got the butter mixed in with the flour, we need to weigh out our sourdough starter. We want 285 grams. And here we go, 285 on the nose. Just leave that there, and we'll pour this starter into here. Now I am going to just pulse it this time until I see it just starting to come together. We're at that point. I think we'll leave it at that. I'll just bring this all together as best we can. Oh my goodness, this is a particularly gooey batch. So as I said, I'm going to put this in the fridge for half an hour to an hour, and then we'll come back and roll it out. The pastry's had its wee rest in the fridge, and it's time to start rolling out. So I'm going to cut this in half now, and while we're working on the first half, I'll pop the other half back in the fridge. Next, oh goodness me, we want to sprinkle some flour on the worktop and grab our rolling pin. So I'm going to be quite generous with that flour, just because I can see there's some quite sticky bits in this dough. And we'll flour the top as well while we're at it, because why not? And then we're going to go ahead and start rolling this out. I got this new rolling pin after David dented the wooden one trying to crack a coconut, and I'm not loving it, so suggestions for a decent rolling pin would be greatly appreciated. Now you can get loose bottomed quiche tins, which are really, really handy, but I'm going to use a glass dish. I just find it keeps a lot better in the fridge, because this will be eaten for lunch over the next few days. And I can't be bothered trying to move it here, there and everywhere. So if I can keep it in the original dish, that will just make my life a damn sight easier. And I'm just trying to roll this out as thin as I possibly can. I'm not doing a very good job of making it even. I'm going to try and add that on there. That's the beauty about sort of the short crust pastry, is you know, it doesn't matter if there are tears, you can always patch it up, and nobody's really, unless you're putting it in for a competition, nobody's really going to be looking at the pastry. I'm going to fold that like that. Oh my goodness. I am making a hash of this today. Usually I'm pretty good at rolling out pastry, but not today, it would seem. Let's have a look and see. We're nearly there size-wise. I'm just trying to avoid that sticking to the rolling pin, because then it kind of pulls up everywhere and it just doesn't work very well. We're nearly there. Nearly. Okay, I think we can give that a whirl and see how we get on. I'm just going to roll ever so gently, roll this up and get our dish. Now I've preheated my oven to 190 degrees centigrade, and that's fan. Here we are. We can do a little bit of surgery here, and this is going to be beautiful. You want to make sure that you get everything down into the corners. There are no corners, but you know what I mean. I'm going to take a little bit of this off here and just press it in there, because there will be shrinkage. So we need to make sure that there is enough pastry to allow for the shrinkage to happen. And I'm just going to put that bit in there because it's quite thin looking in that area. The next thing I'm going to do is get some baking parchment. And why put this in after and not before, I hear you ask? Well, we need to blind bake this. So what blind baking does is it helps the pastry to solidify and part bake. But in order for that to happen, you need to have that pressure to stop the pastry dough from rising. But before we do that, I'm going to grab a fork and just prick the base. So I have these ceramic baking beads here, but you don't need these. You can use rice, you can use dried beans, you can use lentils, whatever you have to hand, and then just keep them in a jar or a container, and they will be your baking beans or beads forevermore. You know, you don't have to replace them. You can if you want to, but you know, they're good to use forever. We're just going to spread these out. I'm going to pop this on a baking tray just so that this doesn't drop onto the base of the oven, and put this in for, I would say, 10 minutes, just so that it's partially cooked. Whilst the quiche base is blind baking, we are going to get the pie sorted, because that can go in the oven along with the quiche. So I have the other half of our pastry dough here. We put a bit more flour down on the worktop. And I am going to take a third off of this, because we will need that for the lid. It can stay there. And this can go in here. Sprinkle it with some flour. And just the same as before, we're going to start rolling out. This was not the jumper to do this in. It keeps catching on the work surface. Oh well, we live and learn. There like that. this pastry is rolled out really nice and thin, and that's definitely big enough to go in this pie dish. So again, we're just going to gently roll this up over the rolling pin. And lay it over. And then lift this pastry up and allow it to fall into the curve of the pie dish. I'll just prick the bottom of it again. But not right the way through, because we're going to fill this pie without blind baking it. So we don't want to go right the way through, because the juices from the cherries will go through and we'll end up with a soggy bottom. And let's be honest, nobody wants a soggy bottom, pie related or otherwise. We've got the last little bit of pastry. We'll roll that out while we're at it. Cherry pie was not something that I ever really had growing up, but I had a hankering for it. Must have been last year or the year before, and I had it, and ever since I've just been like, you know, this is so good, and I just really enjoy it. I don't make it very often. I'm trying to get into baking a lot more, because the family all really enjoy it. But it's not something that I think to do that often. It's just one extra step. But when I do it, I always really enjoy the fruits of my labour, so to speak. I think I'm going to have to trim this here and add it to this, so that's what we will do. I didn't think we'd need to do that, but there you go. Just take a bread and butter knife and run it around the rim of the pie dish. One pie trimmed up, and we will put this together and roll her out. And that is plenty. I'm going to take my pizza wheel. You could just use a knife, but I find it a lot easier with this, a lot easier and a lot quicker. I'm just going to trim this edge up and just do a few wee strips. You don't have to be too precise with this. Fabulous! I have a pack of frozen sweet cherries. It's a 500 gram pack, and that is ample for this size. into a bowl. Now I am running quite low on corn flour, so we'll see how we get on. Oh, that's our blind bake. It's all going off. I'm going to put these beads back in here. Might use a spoon at the moment, it's a bit warm. I'm going to pop this back in the oven for another few minutes, just so that the inside of the, I don't know if you can see, but the inside of the base, it's a little bit sweaty. Back to the pie. I'm going to see how much corn flour I can get out of here, and it's important to use the corn flour because this is what helps to thicken the juices up to become the sauce in the pie. Really not very much left in here. Use what we have. Please excuse the awful scraping noises. That should do it. And then we're just going to put a little sprinkling of sugar on. Although these are sweet cherries, there will be a bit of tartness. But I'd say that's probably only a teaspoon and a half of sugar, so not much at all. And we'll just mix that up, make sure that the cherries are coated with that corn flour. And it's perfectly fine to do this from frozen because it's cold and then it hits the heat of the oven, which I find it's, I can't get my words out, it encourages the corn flour to do its thing and thicken up. Now that they're all mixed together, put these in the pie dish. And I will grab an egg. And a bowl. And we'll just make an egg wash. the worktop without it peeling too badly. I think we're going to be okay. And you can have as many strips or as few as you want. I am just going to see what I've got here. It's quite nice when it's open. You know, the juices come bubbling through, and there's something quite beautiful about that. I think one more of these. And then we start weaving. I think we'll move this to the middle and then work our way out, because it just gets very complicated otherwise. And then we just go the opposite direction. This on this side. Now you could use some ready rolled puff pastry for the topping. It's entirely up to yourselves how you want to do this. I don't know, I quite like this lattice effect. You can get a tool, I do have one, but I'm not confident enough using it, that actually cuts the pastry to make that pull apart lattice effect. But like I said, I quite like a rustic pie. Getting myself confused here. It wouldn't be difficult. I'm just going to press these down into each other. Knife again, and we'll trim this up. The last time I made this, it was actually just before the storm, and it was in the oven a bit longer than I'd normally bake it. But do you know what? It turned out amazingly, and it actually came away from the sides beautifully, better than any other time that I've made it. So we will see how we get on this time. I'm just going to put a bit of an egg wash on here, just to glaze the pastry a little bit. I'm not going to be too pedantic. And I need to get that quiche base out of the oven too. Nearly done. So pies, fruit pie is something that you guys enjoy making. I know my nana, she used to make an apple pie at least once a week, and it was a thing of beauty. I've got really fond childhood memories. Mum used to get apple strudels, and they were always beautiful too. Right, that is glazed and ready to go in the oven. I'm going to get the quiche base out and we will put the quiche together. I have the quiche base here, and it is partially cooked inside and it's not sweaty anymore. Now normally I would like to brush some Dijon mustard on the base there, but because I'm trying to get the kids to eat it, I'm not going to do that. I have some particularly fussy eaters in my family, so anything that I can do to get them to try things and eat not shop-bought processed food, I will try and do, because meal times in this household are chaos. They're just hard work, and I'm trying to get the kids to eat better quality food. First thing I am going to do is I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of ham. Do you remember those hams that we cooked up around about Christmas time? Well, this is about half of one of those packs that I've just shredded up. And we will also put some cheddar cheese that I've grated. This is a lovely, really punchy vintage cheddar cheese. We really enjoy this. It's about 125 grams I've grated up. And what's left from that egg wash we'll actually put in here, because waste not, want not. And I'm just trying to work out how many eggs we will need. I think I'm going to go with 8 and see how it looks. Devastated. My hen that lays my greeny blue eggs has stopped laying, and my egg helter-skelter is not looking so pretty. It still looks beautiful, but I do love that, just the variety of colour. We've been talking about possibly getting some hatching eggs with different varieties of chickens, and hopefully hatching out some hens, because there's a few of them are getting on a little bit and their egg production isn't as prolific as it once was, so we are doing our best with what we've got. They're still doing really well, but we could do with some new hens. How many are we at? 6. 7. 8. Sorry, I had to do a quick battery change there. So I'm going to whisk these eggs up. Now, to make it more luxurious, you could add some double cream here. I don't actually have any, so I'm just going to put a little bit of milk. Because we get the milk from next door, this has got quite a high fat content anyway, and the cream's not skimmed off the top, so it's absolutely fine to use. Pour this in. I think this is going to be just about right. There we are. We'll sprinkle the rest of this ham over. Now, you could do any flavour combination that you like. Sun-dried tomato goes beautifully in this. If it was for just David, Emily and I, then absolutely I would do that, but because I'm trying to get the little ones to eat it, I'm going to leave it quite plain. And shh, it's not ham, it's bacon, okay? I'm also going to trim some of these bits off too while we're at it, because they will just burn. Angus is sitting here eyeing this up. It's not for you, Angus. It's really not. There, we'll call that good. I'm going to put the quiche and the cherry pie into the oven at 190 degrees for 30 to 40 minutes. I will kind of judge it. I'll have a look at 30 minutes and see where we're at. While we're waiting on the quiche and the pie to finish baking, I want to start a little experiment. I was watching Kaylee from the Honeystead, and she was showing how she makes her honey mustard, and it looks really simple to do. If it works as well as it looks like it did, this will be a new staple to add into the pantry. I love mustard, especially coming into the spring and the summertime for making salad dressings, so this is something that I'm really quite excited to try. I have a 400-gram pack of brown mustard seeds, and I'm going to put them into this jar here. I don't know if they'll all fit, we'll see how we get on anyway. This is going to be about a week-long process, so next week I will show you how we turn mustard seeds into mustard. Now you do get different coloured mustard seeds. I had the option of getting yellow mustard seeds, the brown ones that I have here are black mustard seeds, and I just thought I'll get the brown mustard seeds and see how we get on. Come on. Almost, but not quite. I don't know whether to try and get a bigger container or not. I was hoping it was going to all fit in there. Right, I will get a bigger jar because I want to put that whole packet in. Okay, so we have a litre jar and we'll put these seeds into here. I just need to find a funnel because I don't fancy sweeping up mustard seeds. And I know this is one of those things you're probably thinking, oh my god, this seems like a faff. And yeah, it probably is. But it's just one of those things that means that you are a bit more self-sufficient. You have to excuse Angus's dramatic entrance there. He's waiting on the kids' school bus coming and he's getting anxious. Okay. I have a half full jar. I've got some apple cider vinegar with the mother. This we made, must be coming up for 3 years ago now. These are the last couple of bottles. And I'm just going to pour enough of this in to cover the mustard seeds. The apple cider vinegar is one of those things that we really want to make again because this turned out so beautifully. And the aim of this is to soak mustard seeds and they will absorb the apple cider vinegar. So that's taken up half a bottle. I think that should be alright actually. So I'm going to put the lid on and put this out of direct sunlight in a reasonably cool place and come back to it next week, and then we will turn it into honey mustard. I took both of these out of the oven at 30 minutes because they were well and truly done. My oven does tend to run a little bit hotter, so you may need the 40 minutes depending on how your oven is. But the cherry pie and the quiche both look delicious, and I know that we're going to enjoy tucking into these this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in this week and joining me whilst I experiment in the kitchen and make food for my family. If this is something that you've enjoyed, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and also to share the channel with those who you think would enjoy it. So until next time, my lovelies, take care.